One of the hardest things when launching a podcast is coming up with a great name. And whether you're launching a new show or wanting to rebrand, and there's thousands of shows out there already with great names, how do you find one that works for you? Well, that's why Buzzsprout built the podcast name generator. Not only can you search for names using a description of your show and the format, but it will tell you what names are unique, which ones are already taken, and you can run it multiple times to get great ideas on what to name your show. And remember, naming your show is important. A great name should stand out to a podcast listener while they're searching or maybe browsing new shows. It should signal the tone and vibe of your podcast and help you reach your target audience. So here's how to use the podcast name generator. In this box, describe your podcast. The more descriptive, the better. I'll put an example here that we're going to do a weekly narrative show for newcomers to true crime. Two friends revisit 1990s cases using original files and compare them to the sensational media coverage. Then under that, you'll see tone and format. Now you can run this multiple times and try different tones, but let's go with a funny tone. And for format, this is more of a roundtable discussion. It's me and a co-host. So we'll choose roundtable and let's generate some podcast names. Now on the results, you'll see unique with a green check mark and others that are in use. You'll see it described down here, but basically in use means that one or more podcasts with the exact same name have already been found. So I would recommend avoiding those names that are already in use. But many of the results you'll see are unique, that there's not a podcast with that name right now. Now, one of the names the generator said was in use was called Tape Talk. So if we go over to Apple Podcasts and actually search for Tape Talk, you'll see, yeah, there are in fact many shows, some that are just called Tape Talk, The Tape Talk, Talk Tapes, lots of different variations. So definitely a name that you don't want to go with. This way your podcast can be unique and stand out from the crowd. Also, the Buzzsprout name generator tries to follow 4 quality factors. The radio test, is it easy to say and actually remember the first time someone hears it? What about clarity and searchability? Is it easy to understand, easy to search? And are there words that are easily misspelled or can be spelled multiple ways? We try to avoid those. And fourth, the generator goes for longevity, meaning these podcast show names can last beyond season 1. Now, I really like this VHS Fog name and From Hype to Evidence, but if you wanted to start a podcast right now with that name, one click and you're creating your show in Buzzsprout that quickly. Now, I do a weekly tech podcast, so I'm going to give it a description and see what names it would suggest. So I gave it a description of our show and also our tagline, which is Tech News That Matters. And for this, I'm actually going to choose educational as the tone, and let's choose news as the format. And as it's generating, it's actually checking the podcast index to make sure those names are unique or if it's already in use. And also for that radio test that I mentioned before, actually try saying the name of your show out loud. You're going to be saying it on your own podcast, and others will hopefully be saying it to recommend it to friends and family. So you want to make sure it's easy to say, like Circuit Brief. I actually really like that name. Pulse Wire, What Matters in Tech. Signal Sense might tongue-tie some people and even myself, so maybe skip that one. But let's actually generate some more names. I'm going to keep the same prompt, but this time let's go to a relaxed tone and let's go back to that round table. We'll generate some names. We have some more alliteration here. Bright Bites, Silicon Campfire, that's pretty interesting. The Signal Shift, Gravity of Gadgets. I actually kind of like that one. Again, change the tone, change the format, or adjust your prompt a little bit, and you're going to get some great ideas. Let's generate one more, and for this one, I want it to be a funny podcast, but it's going to be interview style where I'll be interviewing other people's of their memory of that early internet age. Let's generate some podcast names. Retro Internet, I kind of like that. Oh, Modems, Memories, and Mischief. I actually really like that alliteration. Dusty Dial-Up Dreams. It definitely got that funny vibe for these titles. Cassette for the Web, The Dial Tone Diaries. Frogger Meets Fiber. Yeah, I did really good on these. So try the Buzzsprout podcast name generator. Right now, you can scan this QR code and it'll take it, or I'll put that link down in the video description below. And let us know in the comments, what names did it come up with that you love, that you might even start a podcast with that name right now or in 2026. We'd love to hear from you in the comments, and I'll put another video right up here that walks you through how to use Buzzsprout to launch your podcast right now and in the new year. Thanks for watching, and keep podcasting.